But I guess ultimately, like in these next 5 games, what would both of you say is realistically he needs to do to maybe even just put himself in the conversation for a real possibility of this job?
I have a few bullet points, Naz. You want to go first, or I can start?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Awesome. I think one for me is something I alluded to just a minute ago. That sort of baseline competency of offensive play calling. I want him to go a little bit beyond that. He has some things on tape now that I want him to start branching off of. I mean, people talk all the time thinking of like Kevin O'Connell and Ben Johnson and these guys who, and I don't even want to bring up the McVays and the Reeds, but like they'll show you something on tape 100 times. And when the defense catches on, they just totally zag because they know that you've watched the film, right? It's like sort of like doing things like, I want to see a ton of that. That to me is going to be his biggest value add over the next 5 games. The second point is sort of a two-parter. Naz, you talked about in the instant reaction, he can have a huge impact, or he could potentially could have a huge impact on the defense, new voice, new leadership. And I agree. I think the potential is there. And the one place that I'm looking for it is the attitude of Tyreek Stevenson. This kid is immature. Even before that Hail Mary, there was games before that, and now after that where he's chirping at fans, where he's it's very clear that players know they can get under his skin, and they fuck with him, and he takes the bait every single time. And it hasn't always landed, it hasn't always ended up being physical, but it's very clear he's being taken off his game. So that's a situation that I see, and I wouldn't totally blame Brown if he can't do it. At the end of the day, Tyreek has to take accountability, right? Like, do what he's got to do to get himself together. But if he were to turn that around in this 5-game stretch and Tyreek plays good ball, I'm going to give Thomas Brown a ton of credit for that. And we think about, the next coach is going to be the leader of men. The next coach is going to know how to lead the locker room and sustain the culture. That to me would be a huge point in that mold of a coach. And secondly, I think in a similar vein, not nearly to that degree, is just, we've complained a little bit about DJ Moore's attitude when he's not getting the ball, when things are going. If that temperature cools down, and honestly, if Thomas Brown just manufactures some more touches to get him involved and be happy with it and still win and put together good offensive performances, that'll be huge as well. So I'm thinking of those things moving forward. I don't know how much you can get accomplished in such a small runway. Like Jack said, I would have liked to see this happen weeks ago to really see what we were working with, at least the OC switch. But those are the points that I think of that I want to see moving forward. I do have some thought. I don't know if we'll get there today, but I do have thoughts about Eric Washington, since he is essentially just being the defensive head coach. Like he just has full reign. But Nas, talk to me, big dog. What you thinking?
Well, I did sound like Thomas Brown said he was going to be present. Like he is handing it off to Eric, but I think he is going to be physically there. So if there are points of emphasis that he's thinking in his brain, I would hope he voices them. I want to see more physicality from the O-line and the run game. I want to see us finish plays. And I want to see us get off to quicker starts. And then, honestly, the end of game stuff. Because I don't foresee us getting blown out with usually like teams. The new coach fire is not what am I trying to say? I'm like, it is a thing, the momentum that you carry over once a coach gets fired. And I think that this team is going to play more energized. So we're going to be in close games. And I want to see the end of game execution go up a level or 3 possibly. And finish these games out the right way. And I think if he does those things, he could be in consideration for the job and be interviewed and maybe kept on as OC, hopefully at the very least, if the good trends continue.
The leader of men stuff real quick, because it's been tossed around ad nauseum at this point, just specifically in regards to what the Bears will be looking for. I don't really get the pushback against from fans who want that. Like, what do you want a head coach who isn't a leader? Like, what are you looking for from a head coach? Like, that's just a weird little thing. I think Thomas Brown is putting himself in great position to at least get notice whether it's from the Bears or not. Like there's a chance that teams, if ultimately they decide to go with Ben Johnson or they go with Mike Vrabel or whoever, and they decide not to go with Thomas Brown, it's a good audition for him, for the other teams that will have openings as well. I think it's a great opportunity. Naz, I'm with you. I think the physicality, if that violence thing, if his statement towards that is what the identity of what his team wants to be, and it ends up following through, not for just this upcoming game against the 49ers, but also the 4 games after that. If that continues all the way through, you absolutely have to consider him for the job, because he came in with a message. Sounds like he's very purposeful with the things that he does. Seems like he has good plans put together. Obviously, the play calling stuff, we talked about it a little on the emergency podcast. That first half cannot happen again. That can't happen. So it's not like Thomas Brown is perfect. He hasn't been amazing. They haven't dropped 30 points. They haven't dropped 40 points. 50 point, whatever. But we've seen that the bar is now, I think, been raised with Thomas Brown to at least competent levels of coaching. So let's see if he can push it beyond that as well in this game against the 49ers, and then obviously beyond. I'm going to ask this one question, and then we could maybe preview that 49ers game a little bit. I'm just curious on your thoughts. How realistic is it for Thomas Brown if he goes 0-4 in these next 4 games here, but then beats the Packers week 18? Is he your head coach of the 2025 Bills?
No. For me, no.
So he has to win. He has to win a few of these games. Is what
Yeah.
He's going to. I have no doubt. We're not going to go 1-4 the rest of the way. Like, it's just,